And then there's some surprising news. Contrary to popular belief, the winter and holiday season are amongst the lowest months for suicide in the United States. Instead, rates peak in late spring and early summer, especially from May to July. The CDC and National Center for Health Statistics consistently report this seasonal trend, debunking the winter suicide myth. And with me on the Splash Live to explain a little bit more from a professional standpoint is therapist from Birmingham Maple Clinic, Carrie Krawiec. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, so this was an extremely interesting piece of information that I saw myself once we decided to share this story. But I'm glad that we have you here to talk about it. Spring and early summer have some of the highest suicide rates. Why do you think these warmer months trigger mental health crisis for many?
There are a lot of explanations, but it was very shocking news to me, too. One thing we have known is that violent crime goes up in the summer, and in ways, suicide is an act of violence against yourself. So there might be some explanation there, but the science says that this holds across many different countries and parts of the world. And the explanations aren't totally known, but they're looking at some biological explanations, like perhaps the temperature increases, changes in the body, changes in our neurotransmitters that might cause depression to peak. Even allergens and seasonal allergies may cause inflammation in the body, which we know inflammation can impact depression, anxiety, impulsivity.
Really?
Of course, in the summer and the lighter days, we feel more energy and we may be out more and up more and using more energy. Even certain occupations, farming, for example, is going to be peak busyness in the summer. So that may cause some stress, but also some toll on the mind and body. Comparing ourselves to other people, or even comparing ourselves to how we think we should be feeling.
Yep.
If we say, oh my gosh, summer, we should be happy in the summer, it's finally spring, we should be happy, and we're not, then that difference between where we think we should be and where we actually are makes us actually feel worse. And then lastly, of course, drinking and drug use in the summer. There's concerts, there's parties, there's lakes, there's camping, there's pools. There's sort of all these environments where maybe people are drinking more or using more recreational drugs that could also be a contributor.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you brought a lot. You brought that into perspective. I'm going to tell you that first and foremost, because at first it kind of threw me off guard, just like you said. But then as you explain the context and the different factors that play into it, it kind of makes sense, unfortunately. Now, I want to kind of look at a different angle. Some of the notes that I have, research shows that adolescents spike in suicidal ideation during fall. Now, how can schools and parents in our community of West Bloomfield better support our students as the school year begins?
Sure. I mean, I think just being aware of this research that, when a kid is thrust from their summer vacation where maybe they've had relaxed expectations and they've gotten a lot of rest, and then they start the school year and they're feeling maybe anxiety, or maybe they had a summer kind of free of the social pressures to conform or be a part of a group, and they've been with their cousins or friends that is more casual, and now they're at school and they're feeling the pulls of popularity and that stuff. Just kind of recognizing the pressures that are on them and asking your kids, how are they doing? Has their friend group changed? Are they feeling left out or excluded? Are they feeling like they're staying on top of their work? And do they feel like they're doing okay with where they want to be? And if they're not where they want to be, what steps or strategies are they taking to get there?
Yeah, it's a lot to consider. I mean, I remember just being a kid and having certain anxiety going from middle school to high school, or from high school to college, and making that transition, let alone just a grade within the same school, middle school or high school, but just making that transition alone, it can be a lot of pressure, a lot of expectations, a lot that we put on ourselves as well. So thank you for the perspective and talking about it from the youth aspect. Now, I want to kind of flip it and talk about it from more of an adult and senior base, which we have a lot of right here in our community. What community-based strategies can help lessen isolation for some of our seniors or empty nester adults during these vulnerable moments as well?
Sure. I thought these were such an important question, from an adult. And of course, I mean, seniors perhaps are maybe not as connected via internet and social media and things like that. So
Hmm.
when they're isolated, they're very isolated. But I thought in the regard to the risk for people who are potentially suicidal, they are not embedded in a network either socially or otherwise. And our social media networks connect us to people worldwide, but we don't feel that connection locally. Even our Amazon driver isn't the same every single day. Our DoorDash deliverer isn't the same every day. So we don't really have like those like routine touch points we might have had in the olden days to connect with anybody when we're the least likely to connect with anybody. I mean, certainly if you have a relative that's elderly and alone,
Hmm.
taking the time to check in on them, reach out,
Man,
make plans
yeah,
to meet outdoors,
yeah.
do things that we know are good for you. But the people that are the most at risk in our communities are the ones that are not connected really to anybody.
Yeah, yeah, and then just like you said before, just to start it off, they're not even really that connected with social media or technology. So that's a way
Mhm.
for a lot of the younger adults or younger people to kind of connect with other people that are outside, even if they're not around them physically. They use
Mhm.
social media, but our older adults don't necessarily have that connection. So that's a whole nother level as well. And with me right here live on the Splash, by the way, therapist from Birmingham Maple Clinic, we have Carrie Krawiec just talking about how suicidal rates usually spike during the spring and early summer months and how we can actually combat that as well. Now, from your expertise, how do you feel like, or how can local employers, health providers, or even some of these park partners right here in our community work together to enhance the mental health safety net during these summer months?
Sure, I definitely think just being informed of the signs and symptoms, recognizing if someone's, oversleeping, overeating, or undersleeping, or undereating, if they're, seem to be intoxicated at work, or if, you're noticing any changes in their activity level, all of those things would be signs. And I mean, like, ultimately, I always inform people, if you have the thought that somebody could be suicidal, certainly ask them outright, are you feeling suicidal? Like,
Right.
are you feeling okay? Are you feeling safe? And if they say, like, if you're at risk of hurting yourself, be confident to ask, have you thought about what you would do to hurt yourself? Do you have a plan? And if they have a plan, ask them if they intend to act on it. If they're answering yes to these questions, this is a person in very high risk.
Right.
But the biggest way to be helpful to them is to ask them. Often getting that information out can relieve the situation, just knowing someone cares enough. But
Mm-hmm.
then certainly taking
Yep.
the steps to say, let's call 911 and have you evaluated, or let's call this crisis hotline and together and see if we can get you the resources you need. But it really just starts with asking those bold questions directly.
100%. And hopefully you have a connection with someone that you feel comfortable asking, they feel comfortable enough answering as well. So that's a situation that we're talking about in most cases as well. Now I want to get to a situation you were talking about with the energy increase and dealing with that. For someone who isn't experiencing this increased energy during these warmer months, how can your clinic personally actually help channel that energy into something positive?
I think something that's so interesting, right? Especially like we said, summer is a time where maybe we feel more agitated. But the truth is that excitement, agitation, and anxiety are very closely related in our body. They all kind of feel the same. We get a little kind of jolted up.
Hmm.
Emotional regulation is about the ability to calm down. So it's okay to have feelings and to
Man.
get up or down about anything, but we always need to be able to restore normalcy. And so therapists are great. Talk therapy and talking to someone is great for helping to restore a normal mood. Certainly, other activities like journaling or taking walks outdoors, deep breathing exercises, and therapists can really look at a person's life and say, "Wow, these are really the skills that you have available to you, and let's see if we can use them or apply them when your mood is changing in a way that's unpleasant and unchecked."
Okay. I love the information and how you're providing context. And we don't have too much more time right here, but just to kind of pick your brain, anything that you've personally been seeing as far as trends in Greater West Bloomfield, or is there anything that we should all look out for in regards to signs to our neighbors and family members right here in Greater West Bloomfield that they may be looking for some type of help?
Yeah, I think the trends that we're seeing societally are happening here in West Bloomfield and are happening statewide and nationwide, perhaps even worldwide, is that a lot of stuff related to social comparison. So, like, if you in the summer you're thinking
Yeah.
everybody's on these great vacations and I'm at work and that makes you feel miserable, that's going to contribute to depression. Or if you're a young kid starting school and you're saying, wow, everybody is friends and I don't have any, or something, if you're always looking to other people to compare where you think you should be at, you're going to often find yourself feeling miserable, especially since everybody puts the Facebook favorites up instead of what's really going on
Right.
in their lives. So we're probably not doing enough to realize that most of us have highs and lows in our life, and it's not just everybody else's highlight reel and yours is all the downside. And we see that year round, whether it's at the holidays and it looks like other people are spending more money, or it's at Valentine's and someone has a better relationship. So those things happen year round where these events trigger this social comparison that's really inaccurate, and people really feel a lot of shame that's so unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I think is a societal concern is that there are people who are like not really connected in their community. They're getting their groceries delivered, they're getting DoorDash, they're
Good
not
point.
really going
Yep.
outdoors and doing healthful activities, they're not really encountering other people in
Mm-hmm.
face-to-face life. They're
Mm-hmm.
doing their work via Zoom, they're maybe doing their therapy via Zoom, and just like those will be the hardest people to connect with, in as a society. But those are the people that are probably the deepest need and the most vulnerable.
Yes, yeah. And then even when you get a DoorDash or something like that, you have the option to not even meet the person dropping that off. Just leave it at the
Yeah,
door, and I'll come
yeah.
out there, and you just go away. So I mean,
Right,
I
right.
get it to a certain extent, but those are great different factors that we all need to consider when we're maybe evaluating ourselves or others that we love. But we want to thank you so much again for your time and your information. Once again, therapist from Birmingham Maple Clinic, Carrie Krawiec. We appreciate you again.
Thank you so much.